For the past several months, the PlayStation community have been dining on this.
Nothing like saltwater soup. And I got sugar water for dessert. I'm going all out tonight.
Yes, these guys have been starving. These guys have been drinking salt water soup and then chasing it down with sugar water soup when it comes to gaming. No first party game they would have had so far for the year. It's looking like they will end the year with just 2 first party games, Astrobot and Horizon, Lego Horizon. And last week we had guys like Colin Moriarty saying that PlayStation guys are whining, they are crying for nothing. That, Sony has third-party games that supplement the first party. But now there is a next pony who is saying that Sony deserves to bring only 1 first-party game for the year. Yes, you heard me right. There is a pony who is saying that you guys would have gotten a lot of first party games during the year, so Sony deserves to put out only 1 first party game for the year. In addition to that, these guys have been putting on a brave face, making persons believe that they have been eating so well over there on PlayStation side, but really and truly they are starving. And it's not only me noticing that these ponies are weak from the lack of first party game, even the good guys there over at Aseptic Sauce is noticing it. Shout out to them.
We've got a real doozy for you tonight. We've got a wild pony. I've heard reports that it's in this very area, and we've got to be really calm. We've got to lure it out with some mating calls. All right, let's go.
Yamate kudasai! Nisa! Nisa!
I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon.
Yamete kudasai!
Oh, crikey! Look at this beauty! There he is. He's a real gem. Now, I got you. That's all right, buddy. Oh, sorry, what a beauty. Now, lucky for me, he's pretty malnourished from the lack of exclusives he's got over the last 6 months. Ain't that right? He's pathetic. He's so weak. Makes my life much easier.
So today, let's talk about how, the Sony fans are boasting that, the PlayStation 5, is selling well. Let's see what Sony is saying if console sales matters. And we'll also talk about how this pony is making excuses for Sony not getting first party content or enough first party content in 2024. The word on the street is this: in order to stop a pony, you need to call
A crackhead. I'm John Kennedy, and I approve this message.
This is a sickness!
Let's get it. Okay guys, before we start the video, I cannot procure the services of a crackhead to stop these ponies, so I have to do it myself. So if it is you want to support content like this, please hit the subscribe button. It will help the channel out. You'll get great Xbox news and a sprinkle of Nintendo, and of course the Sony Pony Salt. So hit that subscribe button and support the channel. Now let's get back to the video. First up, I was told by the PlayStation community that Hellblade 2 flopped. Hellblade 2 did not sell anything, they didn't do anything. No one played the game, no one bought the game. That's what the PlayStation community said. Well, one of Hellblade 2 fans would have asked Matt Piscatella, this is the guy who does numbers when it comes to selling, game consoles and games there itself. Asked him, how did Hellblade do in the month of May or June or what have you? And notice what Matt Piscatella said. He went on to say this: I'm getting a lot of questions on this one. Senua Saga Hellblade 2 ranked 37th overall for May 2024 in the US full game dollar sales, while ranking 21st on Xbox Series. One fan said, since it's a Game Pass game, what rank it reached on Game Pass engagement charts? Matt replied and said 12th. Fallout 76 ranked 11 in May. The other fan said 12 seems like a good placement for a shorter game. Yes, so this way we are seeing here that Hellblade didn't set the world on fire, but this is to be expected because it's a game about mental illness. The protagonist is trying to slave her people from slavery, and she's battling with voices in her head. This is not going to appeal to, say, kids. It's not going to appeal to the general public. This game was for their fans and for persons who want to see what the Xbox Series X is capable of, what the studio is capable of when it comes to graphics. But let me hear what you thought about the sales of Hellblade 2. We are seeing overall it ranked 37, it ranked 21 when it comes to sales for Xbox, and also when it comes to playing on Game Pass, it was number 12. Let me hear what you thought about this in the comment sections below. Next up, we have one of the biggest Sony fans, and he is saying that, hear what? You guys would have gotten so many first-party games over the years that if you guys don't get first-party games this year, you guys should shut up, because Sony deserves to take a little rest from pumping out so many bangers when it comes to their first-party content. Listen to this Sony fan here.
Here's my thing, right? My whole thing with Sony's position right now is I feel, and look, I understand how it sounds. Sure, I'm a fanboy, whatever.
MashaAllah, Tabarak ar-Rahman.
But I feel that Sony has at least earned, like, a little bit of leeway here.
So yes, MBG is telling you, Sony fans, that Sony has earned the right not to produce first-party content for you guys. Wow, this is classic coping. This guy is not seeing any first-party game for the year, and he's saying, you know what? They earned it. They would have produced first-party games, you know, in the PlayStation 4 days, in the early PlayStation 5 days. So, you know, if they don't give us this year, it's no problem.
Where it's like, they're not giving me a drought. They're not saying we don't have games for you.
Yeah, that brother's starving.
Yes, sir, brother.
They're just saying, like, we're not ready to show the games that we're working on, and we're not ready to show you what you're going to play next year or for the rest of this generation.
Why?
And that does suck, where it's like, I'd really love to know. And it's, you know, I would love to see these games and know what the roadmap is. But at the same time, it's like, that's coming after, again, like I try to explain this to people, but they just don't want to hear it for some reason. And I don't know why, because it's like, it's just the truth, man, where from 2015 to 2023, Sony, like, they just did not stop.
MBG, you are a liar. We know not only did Sony stop in 2023, but they came to a screeching halt by only releasing one first-party game in 2023. I will give them that, yes, they did have their lineup together when they launched the PlayStation 5, but it's very clear that they are in a downward spiral when it comes to producing first-party content for the PlayStation 5. Look at this year. This year is only 2 first-party games you guys will be getting. One is Astrobot and one is Lego Horizon, and those are 2 type of games that, let's be honest, PlayStation fans are not too enthused by those games. They might put on a brave face and say yes, they are excited for it, but they are not too happy with those type of first party exclusives. So let's be honest. But it's not only Xbox guys saying this. We have your own PlayStation website and your own PlayStation guys calling Sony out for not pumping out first party content. So don't lie to your audience and say that Sony just didn't stop when it comes to producing first party content until now. Something is clearly wrong in Sony.
Like that run, think about that run. Go look at the games that came out that Sony released between 2015 and 2023. And it's not that they even stopped release. It's not like, dude, this is not Microsoft 2022 where there is literally no games. That's not what this is either. It's just there's not the type of games you expect. There's not the type of announcements you expect. So I guess I'm just trying to say that, like, listen, if Sony went on a tear for basically a decade, and this is the first year where there's like a bit of a slowdown, it's like we got to kind of like, you know, get our share again and like reload. Okay, I think you've earned that. In the meantime, I'll just be playing what's dropping now.
It's a real shame to see these ponies go on the defensive for Sony, making excuses for Sony for not putting out first party content for their fans. There's a lot of Sony fans are saying they did not buy a PlayStation 5 to play third party games. But yet we sit here and these guys are making excuses after excuses. But let's see how this develops as the years go on. Let's see if Sony would be still pumping out 1 or 2 first party games for a year and, you know, giving their audience that. Let me know how you feel about this in the comment sections below. And finally, we just saw Matt Piscatella, you know, drop a number of different sales for consoles and for games. So one of the things that Matt Piscatella said is that the PlayStation 5, you know, has seen increase when it comes to the US, when it comes to sales. And because of that, we have seen a lot of Sony fans, they are happy. They're all over Twitter saying, wow, the PlayStation 5 is selling so well. They are boasting in the PlayStation 5 sales. Now, they don't have any games to play, but they are boasting when it comes to sales. Now, you see, these gamers today, they are stuck in the past. They are stuck in the past because they are dinosaurs. They believe that a generation could be decided or would be decided just based on console sales, when it's very clear what it is Sony themselves has said. So let me just, you know, come and rain on their party. Listen to what Sony say is their focus now. Is it console sales? Look at this article here.
Sony's focus on engagement time over units sold makes sense for PlayStation opinion. The move has provoked criticism, but the ethos this has created at PlayStation has largely been a force for good. In framing the business in this way, the company sparked off an admittedly predictable storm in the commentariat, who are hair-trigger primed to expect the worst from companies in terms of live service and monetization strategies when they hear terms like this. In this instance, though, I think the concerns whipped up by Sony's statements missed the mark by quite a margin. People are understandably worried that a shift away from looking at unit sales and towards measuring engagement time instead will create a set of perverse incentives for Sony that will erode its interest in selling monolithic games that don't have a service component, for example, which would certainly be a great loss, since that's arguably the thing that Sony does best, and its first-party output in that category has been the solid backbone of PlayStation for more than a decade. Unit sales no longer capture the PlayStation business in its totality. However, Sony wasn't really making a forward-looking statement about strategy here, so much as explaining a historic change. The shift in thinking happened around the transition from PS3 to PS4, with attach rate being the holy grail of console success metrics up to the PS3 era, and minutes of engagement replacing it from that point onwards. In other words, the lion's share of Sony's golden era of first-party studio output has come during the time when the company was already chasing engagement rather than attach rate, to no apparent detriment. Stepping back from the controversy caused by the comments and considering them on their own merits, it's hard to argue that engagement time shouldn't be considered a vital indicator for PlayStation. It's not like software unit sales aren't still important. The company reports those every quarter as one of the headline figures for the gaming division, but unit sales no longer capture the PlayStation business in its totality, since there are now all sorts of ways people could be interacting with PlayStation software and services without actually buying a game in the traditional sense. At some point quite a few years ago, the company realized that it achieved better growth overall if it focused on that metric rather than just chasing unit sales. This isn't new, it's just that it hasn't been focused on to quite the same extent in the company's financial results before now. Sony has essentially been thinking about its business like this since the PS4 era. Then, and while its current interest in service-based games definitely fits that focus, driven in no small part, I think, by the extent to which Genshin Impact has been the biggest third-party driver for the platform in recent years, there's no suggestion that it doesn't think games like God of War or Spider-Man also fit with this paradigm, or that games like that aren't still the core driver for Sony's first-party lineup in the future. It's just that the paradigm is a bit broader now. It includes games people interact with for years on end, like the aforementioned Genshin Impact, or Fortnite, or Bungie's Destiny, and ways of accessing games that don't involve a direct purchase, like PS Plus subscriptions. In some regards, the broader understanding of the PlayStation business suggested by a time-based rather than unit-based metric is reminiscent, in a funhouse mirror kind of way, of the ambitions of the Kutaragi-era PlayStation business. In that era, Sony harbored far from secret ambitions to make PlayStation into the central hub for households' media and entertainment, a device that far exceeded the bounds of simply playing games, and that directly challenged the then nascent dominance of the home computer in those areas. In this mode of thinking, tracking time spent across PlayStation software and services, including, increasingly, PlayStation games and services on other hardware platforms, is the only way to really measure success. Part of that vision for the expansion of gaming absolutely involves service-based games and online games that bring players back regularly, spurring steady revenue streams as they do so, but that's only one aspect. Pillar, games that sell the platform are another, an equally if not more important aspect. What's really interesting, though, is how many of Sony's decisions on hardware and services start to make more sense when considered in the context of increasing engagement time.
So that was PlayStation executives themselves. They are saying that gone are the days where they only look at the console sales. So when these ponies are out here celebrating that, hey, wow, the PlayStation 5 is selling so well, Sony is basically telling them that they are fools. They are not only looking at the console sales, but they want these same ponies to have engagement, spend more money time over time when it comes to their games, when it comes to their live services games. They made a bet on Helldivers 2. And how is that going right now? We are seeing that their player count on Steam is down. But let's see if Sony would have, made the right choice to bet solely or to put that as a main pillar, which is the live services angle. Let me know what you thought about this video in the comment sections below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos. I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.